Hey guys, Gary J here, and today we're looking at another favorite type of rifle here, and this is a Stevens rifle in a 22 rimfire. And the 22 rimfire is an awesome cartridge there. The 22 rimfire is the most popular rifle cartridge in the world, believe it or not. And so a lot of people love to shoot the Remington rimfires. And I do. I've got one video on the Remington nylons. I have several Remington nylon rifles that shoot the 22 long rifle and 22 shorts too. And I have some other 22 rifles as well and pistols. So the 22 rifle is really a great rifle to have. Now this one you may be able to tell is a little bit older Stevens here. Now this one's called the Marksman. It's stamped on it, the Marksman. And it was less common than the popular Stevens favorite, which was another variant of this kind of design here, and other size rifles. It was made between 1912 to 1933. 1912 to 1933. And it was made by the Stevens Arms Company, made in Chicopee Falls, Massachusetts. Now, it was a major improvement over the smaller cousin, the number 15 Maynard Jr., called the boys rifle. So this was supposed to be bigger than that. And it replaced it in 1914. So this was the step above that in 1914. This one replaced the Junior. And this model was made well enough and large enough to be called the man's rifle. Well, it still looks pretty small to be called a man's rifle, but a lot of 22 rimfires are fairly, small, like kind of petite looking like this, and doesn't take away from their accuracy or the fun to shoot either. So it's still a nice rifle. And then in about 1932, during the takeover by Savage, the single shot rifles were discontinued, given away to bolt actions. So Savage took over Stevens in 1932. That's the point to make. And then they started making the bolt action rifles, and so that's when they started really coming out, especially bolt action rifles that would have magazines and clips and all of that too. So not clips, but tubular magazines, and those magazines you put in the bottom of the rifle would make a big difference. They have more rounds and so forth. Nothing like a single shot though to make that one shot count. And it was an intermediate model, falling in price between the number 26 crack shot. Now you see the crack shot is one. Now this one, it breaks open like a shotgun, like a over and under shotgun. So it's a break open type on this model here, the Marksman. The other one, the crack shot, was very popular. The number 17 favorite. And was another one, the number 17 favorite. But the crack shot, it had what was called a swinging block. It's not a rolling block. It's a swinging block because it doesn't go straight down. If you compare a rolling block and a swinging block, they're different in the motion. So there is a difference between the two of those. So, prices in 1932, which is about 90 years ago. This is a long time ago. Now the prices for a crack shot, which look pretty much like this, but had the swinging block. When you pull the lever, the block goes down to allow you to put the bullet, the cartridge in the back of it. They sold for like $6, and the Marksman sold for $8, which is more expensive, and the favorite sold for $9. And in a way, it was kind of inexpensive. But if you look at the 1930s, you're looking at the time of part of the Depression and all of that, and money was very scarce. If you paid $6 for a rifle back in 1932, and you look at inflation today, what would that equal to today? I think the $6 would equal about $110 today, if you bought something for $6 in 1932, the inflation factor for today, it's about $110. But that was still a lot of money back then. They didn't have credit cards and things like that. So, I mean, you're still paying a good bit of money, but this was a great rifle for small game, putting food on the table and things like that. And you know, in a depression or recession, you have serious problems getting food and having the money to buy food. So, you know, people were shooting deer with a 22 rifle. Now, a 22 long rifle will kill a deer. And I know of people who have killed deer with a 22 long rifle, but shot placement is critical for that. So it would not have been unthinkable for somebody back in the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s to shoot a deer with a 22 long rifle. And people have done it, so that's always possible. So this one here, if you look at the cost of it, at $8 is what this one cost in 1932. The price of that today would be $146. So back then they would have to pay $146 for a rifle. So rifles and guns were very expensive back in the day, and this is on the cheaper model line here too. It wasn't uncommon for them to pay twice that amount for a rifle, but you know, a lot of people hunted, and you know, that's where their food came from. So it's important to remember that the significance of rifles back in those days. Now, this Stevens Marksman here, it still retains the basic Maynard principle in that it's a tip-up action operated by the underfinger lever. It also utilizes a simple takedown system, which makes it really nice to break this gun in half and make it compact. The Stevens firm developed the 22 long rifle cartridge in 1887. Can you believe that? Stevens invented the 22 long rifle cartridge back in 1887. The 22 long rifle remains the most popular cartridge in the world, even today. So that was a great invention by them, too. So we'll take a little bit closer look at this incredible rifle here. And it's just, you know, the workmanship that goes into something this old is really amazing. Okay, let's take a look at the rear stock on this one here. And this one, on a lot of the older guns, you'll have a really nice looking butt plate. And that's Stevens. And that's really nice looking there. Let's take a look at this hammer here. And it's all the way down. You pull it back just a little bit, and it's got a catch right there, which should prevent it from going off if you dropped it on something and it hit the hammer spur right here. Keep it from going forward and going off. So that was good safety there. Pull it all the way back, and that's fully cocked. And with the older ones, I really like, with the dowel pins are okay, I guess, but with the older ones, I really like that they have screws in there. And these are screws and not dowel pins. And maybe you can see this writing here. Trademark, Stevens. And the forearm here is pretty short. See, my hand right here, you can see how small this is right here. It's not that big. And my hand right here, you can see it just swallows up the whole breech and so forth. And this rear sight right here is nothing fancy, but it's all you need on a 22. And then on the front right here, got a piece of brass right there. Now that brass right there, depending when you shoot a rifle like this, if you're shooting a rifle like this, then you can file that brass down or replace it with something higher to make sure it's shooting just the way you want it to shoot. And on these right here on the rear, for your right and left on these right here, the way you adjust that is you hit your sight right here. It's called kind of a dovetail joint right here. You can hit this right here with a small hammer and knock it to the right or left to get your windage. And then right here, you just slide this piece right here backwards to elevate the rear sight if you need it. So it's a pretty simple design there. And while we're here, let's check the trigger pull on this. Okay, what do you think the trigger pull would be on something like this right here? I got this zeroed out. Okay, I put this little rag in here so the hammer doesn't hit the firing pin. And this would be just a tad over 3 pounds, which is 3 pound trigger pull on a rimfire is pretty good. So it's just a tad over, not much. And it feels real crisp too, so that's a good thing. So we flipped it around on the other side right here. Let's see if we can read this. There's going to be it. Anyway, it tells you there it's Stevens Arms, Connecticut, Chicopee Falls, Massachusetts, and this is the Marksman. Okay, you see it's got the screws. All these are screws and not dowel pins. So then we'll look at the takedown and show you how simple that is. And really right here on the lever, you just pull the lever right here. And I'll have to turn it sideways for you to see that. And these right here are your 22 long rifles. And see my finger here, they're not that big, but these things, they can kill a deer. They can kill a human being too. So they can be quite dangerous in the hands of the wrong person too. So you have to be careful with any of these 22 long rifles. Okay, guys. On this right here, all you're doing is you get ready to load this, so you just pull this lever down. You can take one thing. It's very easy to pull down. It breaks open right here. You would take your 22 rimfire right here and place that in here. See, it sticks out a little bit, and then close it and make sure your lever's all the way up. You'd pull the hammer back and then aim and shoot, pull the trigger, and then to open it, you do the same thing. This does not flip them out. It just pulls it back so you can grab it and put another round in here and close it. So if you want to take this apart, it's very easy to do. You got this bolt right here, and you'll just unscrew this bolt. You don't have to unscrew it too much, and then pull. And now you have the gun separated, and this is what it looks like right here where the barrel goes in. Now in the back here is a piece of metal kind of like this right here, which I think it is the same piece of metal. That's your ejector. And what it does on your barrel, and they thought of everything here, on your barrel you've got this slit cut in here, and this slit right here goes into this piece of metal, so that when you slide your barrel back in, that piece of metal goes in here and locks it into place, so that you're not putting your barrel when you put your barrel on, you're not putting it on sideways like this right here. That slit, in order to push it all the way in, you go in and then you move it right and left until it becomes flush right here. Okay, it has to become flush right here. So that slit guides it in so that it always goes back in the same way. And then you just tighten it up right here. And I really like the takedown. It'd be nice in a backpack or something like that. Easy to clean that way too. You got one little screw here for the forearm piece right here, and you know, if you get into rain or something like that, you can just take it all apart very easily and clean it real good. The grooves on this one look really, really good. These usually shoot really accurate. Some people shoot silhouettes at 100 yards with them, 50 yards. They can be pretty accurate. So it's just a great little rifle here. So if you see something like this, it might be something you want. That's one of the reasons I'm making this video, because these, I've heard of people paying, you know, like $150 for one of these, if you can find them. And they can go from $250, $300, $400, depending on how good a shape it's in. This one is in really good shape to be as old as it is. The lands and rifling in it look really good too. And it's got all its parts. Some of these you'll find missing parts. They'll be missing screws, bolts, hammer, all kinds of stuff. So this one's all together, and it shoots really well. So just a thought, guys. Thanks for watching. Gary J.